Yo, what's up, guys? Good evening. It's Robert Castillo here. I hope you guys are having a phenomenal night, a phenomenal life. Most importantly, I hope you're doing everything you can in your power to continue your self-development, your personal education, and doing what you can to thrive, strive, and make your dreams a reality. So, I've been doing book reviews for some time now, and so I picked up this book back in 2016. Read about 400 pages of it, picked up it again to finish it, and that's this one by Nelson Mandela, A Long Walk to Freedom. Honestly, even from the very, very beginning, it was by far one of the very best books I've ever read in my entire life. It is a very long book. It's a very big book, that's also relative and based off perspective. Like, Warren Buffett does read 600 pages in a day, so this is a 600-page book. So anyone who has a habit and ability, you could read it in a day. Me personally, I read like 430 pages or something like that. I had to read it for class. I already had owned the book. You could buy this book at the dollar store or Dollar Tree for $1. One freaking dollar. And it's honestly one of the most important books I recommend anyone to definitely read. And if you don't have $1, it just means you don't have time to improve yourself, in my personal opinion, or improve yourself in this format. A lot of you can continue improving yourself playing Fortnite or Apex, and if that's what floats your boat, that's fine, that's cool. But if you're not going to try to be rich out of it or make it a solution to improve gaming or software, then I don't know, man. If you're just doing it for free, lucrative time, don't complain that you're not where you want to be. What I enjoyed the book is that Nelson Mandela he creates a lot of imagery here. That's his prime. You can feel his heart in this book. I actually thought I was in South Africa in many parts of the book. I thought I was in Robben Island when he's there incarcerated for like 15 of his years, and before he got moved over to Poolsmoor and then to some other jail and then to Victor Verster. I felt I was there. I felt like I can see the colors, the lighting, like how he felt. Like he really genuinely poured his entire heart into this book right now. And he puts it he makes this book in a very non-biased way, in the best possible way. Obviously, he's defending the ANC, which is the African National Congress. He was, one of the great reformers to help with the great apartheid going on in South Africa, or went on. I haven't been to South Africa, so I don't know what's going on, but I do have a couple of friends that are from there, and I've asked them about it, and they told me it's the same as it's always been. It's like, well, that's the relative, because considering that you're no older than me means you don't know how it was back in the 70s, 80s, 60s, whatnot. And at the same time, the first democratic election when Nelson Mandela got elected wasn't official until 1999, I believe, according to this book. And to think about it, it's only been 20 years since there was a form of democratic process going on in South Africa. Nothing happens overnight. Even if this world is going on and being globalized and is moving so fast that it is right now. I imagine this country itself, Martin Luther King died back in 1969, I believe it was. And imagine that's 50 years ago. And this country is still extremely racist. That's just the bottom line. It's just, if it wasn't for social media, we wouldn't be aware of all the racism, the discrimination, segregation that's consistently going on. Or we will be known about it, but we'll be willing to turn a blind eye from it. But now, because we cannot turn a blind eye from it, it's plastered everywhere, all over us. So that's the bottom line. So in order for that whole thing to continue improving, definitely a lot more social rights, human rights, civil rights has to be done. A lot more income has to go up. I know there's a large divide in real estate. And I know real estate over there is extremely expensive. It's a smaller country, so they're very limited to the amount of land. And they have all these mountains that I don't know if they build on them, and probably don't build on the whole thing. So it takes up some square footages. But at the same time, it's a very poor country, and a lot of the wealth comes from like, the majority of them are white, who are probably of British descent, and the rest are black, colored, or Indians, or Afrikaners, as Nelson Mandela will put it. So there is that divide that's going on. We have to figure out a way to improve that. But I do recommend it as like any other book you're going to consider as like a type of memoir that you're going to consider reading. I generally do recommend this book because, Nelson Mandela was considered one of the greatest leaders of all time that's ever lived and ever, been around. And I hope he rests in peace right now and for everything that he's done. And I hope he's very happy with all the things he's accomplished. Yeah, he mentions about his best friends and the things that he had to overcome. And it's like he puts it right over here in very simple terms. Well, not very simple, but in a way that I believe it can be a little mesmerizing to maybe some of you as to why I believe you should consider purchasing this book. I had no epiphany, no singular revelation, no moment of truth, but a steady accumulation of 1,000 slights, 1,000 indignities, 1,000 unremembered moments, produced in me an anger, a rebelliousness, a desire to fight the system that imprisoned my people. There was no particular day on which I said, from henceforth, I will devote myself to the liberation of my people. Instead, I simply found myself doing so and could not do otherwise. All he cared about was the freedom of people all over the damn world. Even in this country, people need freedom. Every single day I age, I realize that I'm not free. There's something called limited freedom. Freedom is only limited. When you are 5 years old, you have a certain freedom, which is called innocence. As you age, your innocence begins to disappear, and you realize what the world really is. You lose that sense of freedom at that point. You have the freedom of, look, I want to travel the whole world, but if you don't have so much money, that means you're limited to the amount you can travel, the location you can travel, or the explorations or excursions you can do as you travel. There is a limited amount of freedom and is meant to be there in segments of our lives. And one thing that's always going to be happening is a limit of life. As we all know, we're all going to die eventually. And you may as well, if you want to make sure the biggest freedom of yours can always be around long after you you die, is the freedom of having significance. And you all and each respectively have the opportunity to develop a form of significance that's unique to you, because the world has created you in a way that has allowed you to do whatever it is necessary to make that possible. But it's up to you to believe that, because I do believe in you, but it's also up to you to put in the action. Nelson Mandela probably spent a total of over 30 years in jail. That's a grand chunk of anybody's life. That's more time than I've been alive. But he did everything known to mankind, not for South Africa, for the remainder of the world. And because of that, Nelson Mandela, if you're watching this video from heaven or in the next live, whatever it is, man, I thank you. And anyone else who likes to have a good read, I highly recommend this book. I know I like I said, I did put it down for like 2-3 years after I read it, but honestly, like, I had to pick it up because I knew I had to finish, because it's a great book. And yeah, man, I hope you enjoyed this video. Take care.